Chapter 1. When the phone rang, my wife's phone made a sudden sound that cut through the quiet night air. It was late, maybe around 10 o'clock, and the world outside felt completely still. We were sitting close together on the sofa in our small living room. The room was dark, with only a soft yellow light from the corner lamp. We weren't watching TV or talking. We were simply sitting, lost in our own thoughts. Then, the bright glow of her phone lit up her face in the darkness. On the screen, I saw a name I didn't know, a man named Adrian. I frowned, trying to remember if we had ever met someone with that name before. We had no friends named Adrian, no family, no neighbors with that name. Before I could ask, Claire grabbed the phone with a quick, almost frightened movement. Her hand moved fast, like a snake striking at something dangerous or forbidden. Her face turned pale, almost white, as if all the blood had left her body. Her eyes looked wide and scared, shining strangely in the dim light. "Who is Adrian?" I asked quietly, my voice almost shaking. "My name is John, and I am her husband. Or at least I thought I was. Claire and I have been married for 12 years, and we shared everything together. 12 years is a long time, full of laughter, memories, and quiet mornings. We live in a small, comfortable house filled with books and plants we both love. I always believed we were happy, but at that moment, I began to doubt it." Claire stood up from the sofa too quickly, almost knocking the cushion to the floor. "He's a colleague," she said, her voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. "He's a new writer. We talk about work sometimes." She didn't look at me. Instead, she walked out of the room with her phone. Through the window, I saw her step into the cold garden to take the call. I sat alone in the dark, listening to the silence grow heavier around me. Something inside me whispered that she was lying. I could feel it deep in my chest. A colleague doesn't call at 11 o'clock at night. That's not about work. I knew then that my wife was hiding something big and painful. I sat on the sofa, cold and afraid, feeling my world slowly fall apart. That night, I knew my happy life had ended. It was the night my marriage began to die. But really, the story didn't start there. The problem began 6 months earlier. Chapter 2. The Distance. 6 months ago, Claire began to change, and at first, I didn't notice much. It happened slowly, like a small crack spreading quietly through glass. First, she stopped smiling at my jokes. Then she stopped laughing altogether. She was still my wife, but she felt like a stranger living inside my house. She spent most of her time in her small office, saying she needed to work. The door was always closed, and the sound of her typing became her only voice. I'm a teacher, and I've always loved talking about my day when I come home. Claire used to be the same. She loved telling me about her stories and ideas. We would talk for hours at dinner, sharing dreams, fears, and silly little thoughts. But lately, dinner had become quiet. Only the sound of forks and plates remained. I felt lonely, sitting across from her, watching the distance grow between us. I missed her laugh, her warmth, the way she used to look at me with love. One evening, I decided to cook her favorite meal, pasta with fresh tomatoes and basil. The smell filled the kitchen, warm and comforting, like old memories returning home. I hoped she would smile, maybe talk again, maybe remember who we used to be. She sat at the table, staring down at her plate without saying a word. She didn't eat. She just pushed the food around slowly with her fork. Her eyes were empty, lost somewhere far away, staring at the wall in silence. And that's when I felt it, the heavy truth that something was deeply wrong. I looked at her and asked softly, "Claire, what's wrong?" "You're not eating your dinner." The pasta smelled warm and rich with tomato and basil, her favorite meal of all time. She lifted her eyes to me, but they looked empty, like windows without any light. There was no love there, no warmth, only a deep sadness that frightened me. It was a look I had never seen before, and it scared me deeply inside. "I'm just tired, John," she whispered, her voice quiet and low, almost breaking apart. "Very, very tired." I tried to smile, hoping to comfort her, though my heart was beating fast. "You work too hard," I said gently. "You're always in your room, always writing. Maybe we need a break, a vacation by the sea, just you and me. We can walk on the beach, feel the sun, and forget about everything for a while." But she slowly shook her head, her eyes still lost somewhere far away. "No, not a vacation," she said softly. "It's not tired from work. It's something different. It's a tiredness inside my heart, a feeling I can't explain to you." A cold wave moved through me, and my hands began to tremble under the table. I took a breath and asked the question I was most afraid to say aloud. "Are you tired of me, Claire? Do you want to leave me?" She didn't answer. The room went silent except for the loud ticking of the wall clock. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Each sound hit my chest like a heavy stone. Finally, she looked up at me, her eyes calm but far away. "I don't know," she said slowly. "I'm not leaving. I'm just tired, that's all." Her words didn't comfort me. They made everything feel worse, heavier, colder. I knew deep down something was breaking between us. Something I couldn't fix with love or words anymore. Chapter 3. The Truth. She hid. After that night, everything became difficult and strange, like living in a house filled with ghosts. We still shared the same rooms, the same table, the same bed, but not the same hearts. We spoke less and less until silence became our new language. Claire's phone became her constant companion, her new best friend that never left her side. She carried it everywhere, to the kitchen, the bathroom, even when she went to sleep. She always held it close, always turned the screen away whenever I walked by. I could feel her secret growing between us like a shadow that never went away. I wanted to ask her the truth, to say the words burning in my chest. But I was too afraid of what she might tell me, afraid of hearing her say it. I loved her too much, and I didn't want to lose the life we built together. Then came the night of the phone call, the night everything finally changed forever. When she came back from the garden, her face looked pale and empty like before. She didn't meet my eyes. She just sat on the far end of the sofa. She picked up the TV remote and said, "What happened in the movie?" She pretended nothing had happened, as if the phone call meant nothing at all. That made me feel insane, like the world had turned upside down around me. My hands shook as I reached for the remote and turned off the television. The room went dark again, heavy and quiet. "Claire," I said firmly, "please tell me the truth. Who is Adrian?" She looked at me, and her eyes were not soft or sad anymore. They were cold, cold like ice. Her voice came out sharp and angry, cutting through the dark air between us. "I told you already. He's a colleague, a friend from work. Stop asking me. Stop checking my phone. Leave me alone, John." Her anger was my answer, and her eyes told me everything I needed to know. That look hurt more than a knife ever could. Because in that moment, I knew the truth. My wife didn't love me anymore. She loved another man. I couldn't speak. My chest felt heavy. So I stood up, silent and broken. I walked quietly to the small bedroom at the end of the hallway. It was the room we kept for guests, with a narrow bed and a single lamp. That night, I lay down on the small bed, staring at the ceiling in silence. Tears came slowly, hot and painful, until they soaked the pillow beneath my head. I cried all night, unable to stop because I knew my marriage was over. 10 years of love, laughter, and shared dreams had fallen apart in a single night. Chapter 4. Love that changed shape. I slept in the small bedroom for one long, lonely week. The house felt empty, like all the life inside it had quietly disappeared. There was no talking anymore, no laughter echoing from the kitchen or living room. Only silence, heavy, cold silence that pressed against the walls and filled every corner. I felt broken, unsure what to do, moving through each day like a shadow of myself. On Friday evening, I came home from work tired and soaked from the rain. My clothes were wet, and the smell of rain clung to my skin and hair. When I opened the front door, I stopped suddenly. 2 large bags stood in the hallway. They were Claire's bags, packed and zipped, waiting beside the door like quiet witnesses. She was standing near the window, wearing her long coat and dark shoes. She looked ready, calm, collected, like someone who had made up her mind. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My heart froze as reality finally hit me. This was real. This was the end. I whispered her name, Claire. But my voice came out small like a frightened child's. "You're leaving me," I said, though I already knew the answer. It wasn't a question. It was a truth I didn't want to face. She turned slowly, her face pale but calm, her eyes steady and quiet. "Yes, John," she said softly. "I'm leaving. I'm very sorry. You're a good man. I never wanted to hurt you." Her calm voice felt like a knife, gentle, but still cutting deep. I swallowed hard and asked the question that had been burning inside me for weeks. "Are you going to him?" I said. "Are you going to Adrian?" She hesitated for a moment, then nodded her head once. "Yes." Tears filled my eyes and began to fall before I could stop them. "But I love you," I said, my voice shaking. "What about our life?" "Our home. Our 10 years together." She walked toward me slowly, her steps quiet on the wooden floor. She placed her cold hand gently on my arm, and I felt the distance between us. Then she said the words I will never, ever forget. "I still love you, John. You're a good man. A part of me will always love you." For a second, a small, foolish hope flickered in my heart like a dying candle. Maybe she would stay. Maybe she still loved me enough to change her mind. But then she spoke again, and the last bit of hope disappeared. "But I don't love you like before," she said softly. "It's not the same anymore. It's not the love of a wife for her husband. It's love for a friend, or maybe for a brother." Her words were quiet but final, like the closing of a door I could never open again. I understood everything in that moment, and the truth hurt more than I imagined. Love doesn't always die suddenly. Sometimes it just changes into something cold and distant. It fades from a warm fire into a gray stone that no longer gives light. And somehow, that slow, quiet death feels worse than anything else. She pulled her hand away and reached for her bags by the door. Without another word, she opened the door, the rain whispering outside in the night air. She looked at me one last time and said, "Goodbye, John." Then she walked out into the darkness without looking back, and I stood there alone, surrounded by the quiet echo of an empty house. Thank you for listening to this story. If it touched your heart, please like and subscribe for more.